1906, it's Doug Boring, World Series reviews, Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox. Let's do this. Really excited about this one. So only all Chicago World Series, Cubs and White Sox. Those logos are nearly identical. All the logos so far have been pretty bad, I think. I don't know if they didn't have very good fonts back then or didn't know how to make cool mascots. I think they really need to work on that. Chicago Cubs back in the 1800s days were known as the Chicago Orphans. That's a stupid name. They're like the Chicago little kids without parents. Good thing they changed it to essentially the Baby Bears. I don't know what's up with them. I really think they need to move away from the baby theme. I don't think that's very intimidating. Both of these teams had a lot of similarities. They both had really excellent pitching that year. Both had brand new player managers that helped rebuild their rosters and turn them into champions. And they both played in Chicago. They had one major difference, which would be the offense. The Cubs led the National League in nearly every offensive category that year, and the White Sox were called the Hitless Wonders. This is going to be another pitching one, isn't it? Each team only used 4 pitchers in the entire series. This is another pitching one. Nothing wrong with pitching. Pitching's okay. I mean, shout out to Eric Skubal. No offense. Pitching's good. The Cubs dominated the National League with a 116-36 record that year, one of the best records of all time. It's like 75% wins almost. Behind their new player manager, Frank Chance, big tough guy first baseman, and part of the famous Tinker to Evers to Chance combo of baseball poems fame, that being Frank Chance first base, Johnny Evers the second, and Joe Tinker shortstop. They really liked baseball poems and songs back in the old time days. Really, it's in the newspapers, you see a lot of poems about baseball instead of like any information that you would want or use. To paint a picture of what it was like in those days, your papa would bring home the daily newspaper and you'd sit at his knee and he'd lovingly read you that day's baseball poems like Tinker Evers Chance, Casey at the Bat, and all the other baseball poems that I definitely know. White Sox also had a new manager that year in center fielder Jones. I love funny baseball names, but this one's a little on the nose to me. It's kind of trite. It's like, I'm Stolen Base Davis, like Catcher McGee, Triples Johnson, like what's next? Like Home Run Baker or something stupid like that. I mean, you guys need to work on that. White Sox had a .230 average on the season and 7 home runs as a team. Just an absolute power outage. But I don't think this is entirely their fault. The White Sox famously had a notoriously cheapskate owner named Charles Comiskey who wouldn't really spend any money on bats for them that season. So they chose not to bring the bats to the plate most of the time just to save on lumber. They did strategically lead the league in walks, hit by pitch, and sacrifice bunts. So a typical strategy for these White Sox was to get up there, look out for pitches that weren't strikes, try to get hit by that nasty baseball, and then when there was someone on base, just take one of those bats out there and just carefully just try to bunt them home. It really worked for them, though. I don't know who most of the guys on this White Sox team are. I know a lot of these Cubs Hall of Fame guys, but I see my boy Patsy Doherty, though, and we got our first return customer. I believe the first guy with 2 World Series rings and 2 rings with 2 different teams. He was on the 03 Boston Americans and hit the first out-of-the-park home run in World Series history. My boy is back, and he's got Doug in his name. I don't think that's a coincidence. Pitching is really the name of the game for both teams in this series. The White Sox had some great pitchers, including Nick Altrock. Maybe he sounds like he's like a grunger, Pearl Jam, Alternative Nation, Kennedy flannel kind of guy. Do we have another picture of him? That's kind of that one too. I don't think this guy's taking this very seriously. This is the big glove would be good for fielding, and it helps when your pitching is good and your hitting's not, I guess. Also, other great pitchers like Doc White and Big Ed Walsh, who was a spitball pitcher. That's when they spit in the ball and get all kinds of nasty sticky stuff and bodily fluids and tobacco and probably snot and I wouldn't be surprised if there was some poop on there. I wouldn't put it past these guys. Ugh. It's really gross that they're spitting on the ball and trying to get hit by it on purpose. That's this is kind of too gross for me. I don't think I can keep doing this if these guys are gonna be so nasty. This makes me sick. That's I guess it's called dead ball era because they're all dead now from just living off of tobacco and like intentionally trying to get hit by this nasty poop ball and probably getting hepatitis. Like, rest in peace, but can't say it's not your fault. I still want to do this if they're going to be like that. It's really gross. They don't do that in baseball now. They just don't. The ace of the Cubs staff was a pitcher named Mordecai Brown. That's a very cool name. Led with a 1.04 ERA on the season, one of the lowest in modern times. Just an absolute wizard. Mordecai Brown's secret weapon was not having enough fingers on his pitching hand. It allowed him to throw a really devastating curveball. Ooh. Mordecai Brown, really good curveball. Nearly unhittable because, yeah. Well, this for the series itself. The White Sox started out doing hitless wonder stuff like you'd expect, and they got 5 runs across the first 4 games and somehow still won. I mean, because of all their excellent but just nasty, unserious pitching. But in the last 2 games of the series, they made an interesting choice. They decided, why not bring the bat out there every time and swing at the ball more? And it really worked. In each of the last 2 games, they got 8 runs apiece and ended up winning the series 4-2. This is another ropes in the outfield series. Westside Park in Chicago. This league, just like in 1903, they decided because of the overflow crowd to just put extra ropes along the outfield instead of having like walls or like a fence. And anytime the ball rolls under the ropes, it's like a ground rule double. Better than 1903 when they decided it was a triple for some reason. But it just carries the offense in a series like this. I think that's pretty stupid that you play in a game where if the ball gets to the outfield wall, it's like an instant double. Well, in typical 1900s style, the White Sox also made 6 fielding errors in Game 5 despite dominating and winning. These guys, man. Owner Charles Comiskey awarded the White Sox a $15,000 bonus for winning the series, but it turned out just to be advances on their salaries for 1907. What an absolute crook. Wow. Just they're on a bad path, just starting even back then, man. Come on. I kind of feel like this was Chicago's big chance to shine in the World Series, and they kind of blew it by being gross and stupid and immature. I don't know if they're ever going to let us have another all-Chicago World Series because of this, because I think people expect something like this. It's Chicago, baby, the city I live in. Gross. Wow, this is a pretty gross and disgusting and immature World Series. These guys need to grow up. These guys need to figure out what baseball is and what it's going to be. And they also need to start hitting the ball. Maybe people will like to watch it then. Watching this is gross and it seems kind of like a waste of my time and it makes me sick to my stomach. Yeah, I watched this in the secret baseball archives. My dad's friend works for baseball. My friend's dad, my dad's friend's dad, and they let me go in the vault beneath the Hall of Fame and watch all the secret reels. The important part of the series, the cool names, love the cool names. Chicago Cubs really had a lot of fun ones in here, from Solly Hoffman to Jack Pfeister to Harry Seinfeld to Three Finger Guy. The best, though, was one of the relief pitchers in this series, Orville Overall. Oh, yeah. That's weird. That's cool. This was a really hard one for me to do because of how gross it was. It made me kind of sick, but you get a name like that, it just kind of makes what I'm doing all worth it. Orville Overall. White Sox, not as many cool names. Jiggs Donahue. I think every 4th Irish guy was probably named that back then, so I don't think that counts. Babe Town. World Series MVP. Since we got to pick one since they don't know how to do it. Could be Nick Alternative Rock, it could be Stinky Ed Walsh, but I don't really want to give them any credit until they grow up a little bit. So maybe George Roque, the 3rd baseman for the White Sox. No one knows who this guy is. He got a lot of hits despite being on a team that didn't like to hit. Pretty good. Next season, 1907, hopefully it's a more fun series. It's Detroit Tigers, a favorite team, and the returning Chicago Cubs. Got Ty Cobb coming up, one of the best hitters of all time, so probably we're going to see some fantastic offense, lots of wonderful hits, and lots of runs scored, and some pitchers being sent back to the bullpen with their heads hanging in shame. No offense, pitchers, though. Once again, Terry Scooble, I'm sorry. I love you. You're my best friend, and I can't wait to hang out at your house again. Well, that's it. Like and subscribe, I guess, since I'm a YouTube guy.